Right, so Keir Starmer just stood up at the Lady Mayor's banquet, looked Britain dead in the eye, and basically said, Brexit? Yeah, that was a terrible idea. And honestly, the political fallout is absolutely mental. But before we proceed, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more updates on the UK political insight. Thank you. Let me set the scene for you. Picture this. Starmer, in full ceremonial gear at one of the poshest events in the City of London, decides now is the perfect time to tell everyone that the thing 17.4 million people voted for has been an economic disaster. Bold move, Prime Minister, bold move. He didn't just dip his toe in the water either. No. He cannonballed straight into the deep end. We must confront the reality, he said, that the Brexit deal significantly hurt our economy. Not, it's been a bit tricky, or there have been some challenges. Nope, significantly hurt. Those are fighting words in British politics, and trust me, the fight has already started. Now, before you think this is just Starmer having a bit of a rant over his starter course, there's actually proper strategy behind this madness. Because while he's taking shots at Brexit, he's really aiming at someone else entirely. And that someone is Nigel Farage and his Reform UK party, who are currently breathing down Labour's neck like that mate who stands way too close when they're talking to you. Reform's been absolutely surging in the polls lately, hoovering up disaffected voters like a Dyson on steroids, and Labour's genuinely worried. Because here's the thing about British politics right now. It's not just about left versus right anymore. It's about who can capture the imagination of voters who feel like Westminster has completely abandoned them. And Farage? He's very good at that. Annoyingly good, if you're Keir Starmer. So Starmer's response is essentially to go nuclear on Brexit itself. He's betting that enough people are now looking at empty supermarket shelves, paperwork nightmares for businesses, and economic growth that's slower than a Sunday driver in the fast lane, and thinking, yeah, maybe this wasn't the brilliant idea we thought it was. It's a massive gamble, because insulting Brexit is basically insulting everyone who voted for it. And in case you missed it, that's quite a lot of people. But Starmer didn't stop there. Oh no, he went full wonk mode, talking about reducing frictions, moving towards a closer relationship with the EU, and here's the kicker, accepting that this will require trade-offs. Now, in normal human language, that means giving something up to get something back, which if you're a Leave-worder who was promised we'd have our cake and eat it too, sounds suspiciously like someone's trying to sneak Brussels sprouts back onto your plate after you specifically said you didn't want them. He's essentially saying, look, we left the EU, it hurt, we need to get closer again without actually admitting we made a mistake. It's like breaking up with someone, realizing you left your favorite jumper at their place, and now you're trying to work out how to stay friends just so you can get it back without looking desperate. And Labour's been building up to this, by the way. This isn't just Starmer having a moment. Rachel Reeves, his chancellor, already tried to partially blame Brexit for why she had to hike taxes in her budget, which, fair play, is a convenient scapegoat when you're trying to explain why everyone's suddenly paying more for everything. But it's also a really dangerous game when a huge chunk of the country still thinks Brexit was the right call. Now let's talk about Nigel Farage's response, because obviously he had one. The man never met a microphone he didn't want to chat with. Writing in the Daily Express, which is basically his home turf at this point, Farage absolutely went to town on Starmer, and I mean absolutely tore into him. Farage accused Starmer of blaming 17.4 million British voters for the country's economic problems, which, to be fair, is kind of what it sounds like when you say Brexit significantly hurt our economy. Because those voters didn't just stumble into the polling booth by accident, they made a choice, right or wrong, it was theirs. And here's where Farage gets clever. He frames this as the establishment blaming ordinary people for the establishment's own failures, which is brilliant politics, even if you can't stand the bloke, because it taps into that exact sentiment that got Brexit over the line in the first place. The idea that Westminster doesn't get it, never has gotten it, and is now trying to make you feel guilty for having the audacity to vote differently than they wanted. Farage then pivoted straight into the Reform UK sales pitch. Only we can be trusted to fix broken Britain. Cut public spending, slash red tape, remove EU rules, be on the side of small businesses and working people. It's textbook populism, and it works because it's simple, it's clear, and it sounds like someone's actually listening to your complaints down the pub. He also promised to finally make good on the promise of Brexit by taking back control of borders, laws, and money, which is fascinating because it implies that Brexit hasn't actually delivered what it promised yet, almost like it was more complicated than anyone thought. But I digress. The strategic chess match here is absolutely fascinating. The Labour knows reform is eating into their base, particularly in those red wall seats they need to hold, working-class communities that traditionally voted Labour but switched to Conservative in 2019, partly because of Brexit, and are now looking at reform thinking, well, they're saying what we're thinking. So Starmer is trying to thread the world's tiniest needle. He needs to appeal to economically rational voters who can see Brexit hasn't delivered prosperity, but he also can't afford to alienate Leave voters entirely. It's like trying to criticize someone's cooking while simultaneously asking for seconds. Tricky. The speech was at the Lady Mayor's banquet, surrounded by City of London types who were probably never Brexit's biggest fans anyway. Safe crowd. But the message was clearly meant for a much wider audience. This is about positioning Labour as the party of economic competence, even if that means saying uncomfortable things about Britain's biggest political decision in decades. And mentioning deals with the US and India, that's trying to show, look, we're not anti-trade, we're not trying to reverse everything, we're just being realistic about Europe. It's damage control before the damage even happens. But here's the fundamental problem with Starmer's approach. Brexit isn't really about economics for a lot of people. It never was. Entirely, it was about sovereignty, identity, control, immigration, feeling heard. You can't just show people a graph of GDP decline and expect them to say, oh, crikey, I've changed my mind. Doesn't work that way. Meanwhile, Farage is positioning reform as the true believers, the ones who will actually deliver what Brexit was supposed to be about. No compromises, no crawling back to Brussels, just pure, undiluted Leave. And for voters who feel betrayed by how Brexit has turned out under the Conservatives and now feel insulted by Labour's approach, reform starts looking mighty appealing. The timing of all this is crucial too. We're not in an election cycle right now, but Starmer knows reform's momentum could become unstoppable if left unchecked. Better to start defining the battlefield now. Control the narrative before Farage does it for you. What's particularly wild is watching Labour try to outmaneuver a party that doesn't even have that many MPs yet. But that's how seriously they're taking the threat. Because in British politics right now, polls and momentum matter as much as seats in Parliament. So where does this leave us? Well, Britain is about to have a proper national conversation about Brexit again, whether we want to or not. Starmer has opened that box. Farage is more than happy to fight that battle. And the rest of us get to watch two completely different visions of Britain's future smash into each other like bumper cars at a particularly aggressive fairground. Is Starmer's strategy genius or political suicide? Will Farage's reform actually break through or just split the right-wing vote? And more importantly, are British voters ready to admit Brexit might not have been everything it promised, or will they double down? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this debate is only just getting started. And if you want to stay on top of all the political chaos as it unfolds, because trust me, there's plenty more coming, smash that subscribe button. We're posting throughout the day, keeping you updated on every twist and turn. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything, and I'll see you in the next one, where we'll probably be discussing whatever explosive thing someone says next, because in British politics right now, there's always something.